our next discussion, after the discussing the model development using the theoretical model, or you can say the based on the conservation of energy mass component balance theory, you can say. Now it is time to develop the model using the data or the empirical. It is called the empirical model, right? So what do you understand by the empirical modeling? Empirical modeling, as we have discussed in the previous lecture, in the previous video, an empirical model is based only on the data, right? Based on the data, and it is used to generally it is used for the prediction purpose, right? We have the history of the data. Okay, in the industry we have to 1 month data. Okay, 1 month data of any plant, of any equipment. Based on that variable, you have to predict what will be the next move of that equipment, how that system, how that equipment, how the plant will behave. It is not only valid for the plant. It may be, it can be applied anywhere where the history of the data is supplied. Okay, so an empirical model consists of a function that captures the trend of the data. Based on the trend of the data, you can predict the behavior of the system, right? You can anticipate the system behavior, anticipate the behavior of that system. I hope it is clear. So sometimes it is very difficult. Sometimes it is very difficult or impossible to develop the model. Okay, based on the situation. Okay, and for that purpose, if the data exists, we can often use this data as a whole sole basis for an empirical model, which consists of a function of that fits the data. We have the number of units of data, and the best fitted value, you can say that this may be the best fitted model of that system. Okay, so I'm taking one example, and this example is taken from several slides available on the internet. So it is the model development of the tips for service. Tips for service means in a restaurant. Let us assume that you are seated in the small restaurant, or you are the owner of that restaurant. Okay, and or a business minded server, or you can say the waiter at a nice restaurant. And here, you can consider in India or in the US. This example is taken from the US, the slide from that person US. So this is a tips problem. When you are going to some restaurant, okay, after the lunch or the dinner, you provide with the bill some tips to that waiter, yes or no? So that tips, the amount of that tips depends on which type of the parameters. Can anyone tell me? That tips, आप tips किस basis पे देते हो? Let's say we are going to some restaurant, we have taken the lunch, dinner, and it is time to pay the bill of that, against that lunch or dinner, and with that bill you are giving some tips to that waiter. So please tell me, what are the different conditions, what are the different parameters that plays a role in order to pay the tips? Anyone?
Services offered. So
Services
service
offered. Yes, first is the service offer. Second, anyone?
time for delivery.
Yeah, that is coming to service. That is a part of the service.
The behavior, quality and taste of food.
That is also the service. That is a part of the service.
Experience कैसा है वहाँ पे? User
Experience.
experience.
Experience is also come under the category of service. Suppose that
तो कस्टमर कैसा उस पर भी डिपेंड करता है.
sorry,
तो कस्टमर कैसा उस पर भी डिपेंड करता है कितने टिप्स देगा.
ये तो
It's a
कागज
income,
ये तो कागज
income of customer पे भी डिपेंड करेगा.
ये रेस्टोरेंट. ओके, these are some parameters. Okay, ठीक है. और suppose that what are the the basic fundamental theory for going to pay that tips. सपोज दैट एक ही कैटेगरी के लोग, एक ही क्लास के लोग यहाँ पर आ रहे हैं. लेट्स अस कंसीडर दैट the income of the same type of the category is coming in this restaurant. So let's say your bill, Mr. X has eaten with the bill, let's say amount 2000 रुपये. उसने 2000 का पार्टी किया. Mr. Y has taken the lunch of rupees 5000. So क्या दोनों का टिप्स सेम होगा, या ये सोचेगा एक्स वाला और वाई वाला कि ये इसका कम है, इसका कुछ ज़्यादा है तो इसको ज़्यादा देना चाहिए? कुछ ऐसा होगा, हो सकता है क्या पॉसिबिलिटी?
यस
यस सर, हो सकता है.
तो हमने इसी को लिया है, हमने इस पैरामीटर को लिया है कि कितने का बिल है, बिल कितने का है. ठीक है, तो ये एक पैरामीटर मैंने यहाँ पे उठाया. सो मेनी पैरामीटर्स विल बी देयर, बट द I have taken single parametric model so that you can understood the single variable regression model. Because if you are taking the number of variables, then your model will becomes very, very complex. Okay, so कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी बढ़ता जाएगा, नॉनलिनिटी बढ़ता जाएगा, तो आपके लिए प्रॉब्लम होगा उसको मॉडल को डेवलप करना, राइट. बट यू कैन टेक नंबर ऑफ वेरिएबल जितना ज्यादा होगा, नंबर ऑफ डाटा जितना ज्यादा होगा, योर मॉडल विल बी एक्यूरेट, एक्यूरेसी उसकी ज्यादा होगी, एक्यूरेसी विल इंक्रीज, राइट. So for your understanding, I have taken only here the bill. Okay, so I have taken are very important part of the better pay. Most of the time the dollar amount of the tips, yes, the dollar amount of the tips is related to the dollar amount of the total bill. I have taken only this, है ना. So dollar amount of that tip is dependent on the total bill. Is it clear? So as a waiter or owner, you would like to develop a model. आप उसके मालिक भी हैं, तो आपको, और वेटर भी, अगर वेटर है तो आप चालाक वेटर है थोड़ा सा, आप ये कह सकते हैं कि आप पढ़े लिखे वेटर हैं, और आपको क्या करना है कि अब हम किस तरीके से उनको सामान, क्योंकि आपका टिप कब डिपेंडेंट है, टोटल बिल पे, तो किस तरह का बिल हो, क्या बिल हो जिससे हमारा अमाउंट जो है प्रिडिक्शन हम बना सके, प्रिडिक्शन मॉडल बना सके, जिससे हमारा टिप्स का एक मॉडल तैयार हो. तो you would like to develop a model that will allow you to make a prediction about what amount of tip to expect for any given bill amount. Therefore, one evening you collect the data for 6 meal. So इसके लिए आपने क्या किया, एक इवनिंग में आप in one evening you have collected some data of 6 type of the meal, right? Any problem? Any problem here? Yes or no? No. Assume? Is my voice audible?
यस
Yes,
यस सर.
Okay. Now, come to tips for the service. Unfortunately, when you have begun to look at your data, you realize that you only collected data for the tip amount and not for the meal amount also. So this is the best data you have. पहला डाटा आपने कलेक्ट करना स्टार्ट किया, आपको टिप अमाउंट ही आपने केवल, क्योंकि आपको जो ऑनर है, आपको वेटर को नहीं दिया वो डाटा, कब नहीं, आपको नहीं पता होना चाहिए कितना है. तो उसने बोला ठीक है भाई, कोई बात नहीं है. हमने 6 डाटा को उसने केवल अपन जिसको उसको जो मिला था दिन भर में, उसने उसको कलेक्ट कर लिया. यस और नो? दैट ऑल्सो डिपेंड ऑन द टाइम ऑल्सो, कि किस टाइम पे आप लंच कर रहे हैं, कि डिनर कर रहे हैं, कि पार्टी कर रहे हैं, क्या कर रहे हैं. यस और नो? सो देयर आर सेवरल फैक्टर्स. So that waiter have only considered the tip amount. He has not taken, the amount of that bill here. So उसने सिंगल ऐसा ले लिया, मील 1 का 5 रुपये मिल, मील 2 17 रुपीज, एंड लाइक दिस. ओके, सो फिर भी उसने कोशिश किया, he tried. How might you predict the tip amount for the future meal using only this data? Right. So he has, he had mapped. उसने मैप किया उस डाटा को, कि डाटा मील 1 में उसको 5 रुपये मिले थे, मील 2 में उसको 17 रुपीज, मील 3 में 11, ओके, मील 4 में 8, एंड मील 5 में 14, मील 6 में 5। तो उसने इसका क्या किया, एक एवरेज ले लिया, या सुनो, यही तो कर सकते हैं।
यस सर।
तो उसने एक एवरेज डाटा लिया और एवरेज बना के उसने एक बेस्ट फिटेड लाइन इसमें खींचा, ड्रॉ किया, एंड दैट इज द बेस्ट fitted line gives the $10 or the 10 rupee in Indian currency, right? So this is the mid value, and he expect that he will get like this $10 or something for the tips, near about the 10, and this is the deviation. Yes or no? Yes or no? So this is the case. Okay. So goodness now he want to analyze. Now he is going to analyze this data in more deeper. अब उसने देखा कि जो फर्स्ट डाटा से उसने देखा कि व्हाट द डेविएशन -5 फ्रॉम द फर्स्ट +7 फ्रॉम द थर्ड +1 -2 +4 -5. Okay, so deviation when he calculated, you can see -5 -5 -2, this is -12, and 7 +4 +1 +12. सो डेविएशन बिल्कुल इक्वल है, उसने बिल्कुल इक्वल अमाउंट यहाँ पे लिया था, मिड वैल्यू, यू कैन से दैट दिस द गुडनेस ऑफ द फिट. इज इट द फिटेड डाटा? हो सकता है कि इसका कुछ वैल्यू और फिट हो, बट नहीं, उसको लगा कि यही है, दिस इज रेसिड्यूअल. यस और नो? सो गुडनेस ऑफ फिट यहाँ पे उसने डिसाइड हो गया. ओके, सो ही कैन नाउ take this is the error. Basically the residual is calculated in the form of the error. Okay, this is the error, and if you square this error, then residual square becomes like this. Yes or no? Then sum of the square error, SSE, is becomes 120. When you add this will become 120. The sum of the square error. Is it clear? Yes or no?
Yes,
Why
sir.
he has calculated sum of square error? Why is
पॉजिटिव और नेगेटिव दोनों एरर कैलकुलेट
Sorry?
सेम हो जाएंगे.
Sorry?
पॉजिटिव और नेगेटिव दोनों एरर को अपन इक्वल वेटेज से
ठीक है, बट वाई ही कैलकुलेटेड SSE? अगर दूसरा कोई मॉडल आया तो उसका SSE कैलकुलेट करके दोनों का कंपैरिजन कर ले कि किसमें ज्यादा फायदा है. यस और नो?
यस सर.
SSE फॉर वन मॉडल,
यस
SSE फॉर द मॉडल 2, यही आप करते हैं ना. when you are going to train some data on the neural network or on the any other platform, YOLO and any other platform, okay, for the prediction, for the classification, what you will see, what are the statistical interpretation of that data? You are using some SSE, ASE, AIE, yes or no? सो एब्सोल्यूट एरर के टर्म में, स्क्वायर एरर के टर्म में आप उसको डिफाइन करते हैं. और नाउ यू आर गोइंग टू कंपेयर विद द डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ द एल्गोरिथम. यस और नो? for the same data and compare what you getting the ABC error, which one with the error is minimum, just to say that this model or this optimization technique is far better on this data set, otherwise another is comparable. Yes or no? Am I true? Is it clear? Okay,
यस सर.
so this is the case. The squared residual we have taken और मैपिंग हमने कर लिया कुछ इस तरीके से, उसका एरिया भी डिफाइन कर दिया है ना. तो ये इसका 120 आया. So the goal is simple linear regression is to create a linear model. It is a linear model that minimizes the sum of the square of the error, SSE. If the regression model is significant, it will eat up much of the raw SSE. We assume like this problem that the independent variable did not even exist. The regression line should linearly fit the data better. It will minimize the residual. Is it clear? When conducting simple linear regression with two variables, इसका मतलब ये है कि सिंपल वाला केवल आपको क्या कर रहा है, वन वेरिएबल आपको सिंपल एवरेज दे रहा है. When conducting simple linear regression with two variables, we will determine how good that line fit the data, comparing it to this type where we pretend the second variable does not even exist. है ही नहीं, दूसरा डाटा तो हमारे पास है ही नहीं, विल टेक, है ना। तो हम लोग उससे देख सकते हैं कि कंपेयर करेंगे तो क्या आएगा, दूसरे वाले डाटा अगर कंपेयर करते हैं तो व्हाट विल बी द डिफरेंस फ्रॉम द फर्स्ट। if the two variable regression model looks like this example, what does the other variable to help the variable? अब देखते हैं। तो quick review, this is a quick review of the what we have studied. Simple linear regression is really a comparison of two models. One is where the independent variable and another is the best fitted regression line. If there is only one variable, the best prediction for other value is the mean of the dependent variable. The difference between the best fitted line and the observed value is called the residual, or you can say the error. The residual are squared and then added together to generate sum of a square, SSE. Okay, SSE. A simple linear regression is designed to find the best fitted line through the data that minimizes the SSE. Any doubt? Now I am coming to the next part. Now bivariate the statistics. Okay, two variable model. We will discuss now the two variable model. And for this purpose, we have the tool, okay, correlation, ANOVA, and linear regression. Ultimately, we have to double the linear regression. These are some tools. Okay. The value of one variable. Okay, we will start tomorrow. We will start in the next fresh video of the bivariable statistics. I hope you have enjoyed.